Hey, Woody, I wonder, we've talked a lot about the players making adjustments, right, to the changes that this season has, required. Look, there's no playbook for you either. Tell us about how you are going about deciding, right, what changes you need to implement and how you need to try and approach this thing.
Yeah, I think every manager is kind of going through this right now, but with just everything that we've all had to deal with, with the protocols, with the social injustice, from the roster to little limited, I guess, ability to get ready for the season, all this 3 months off. It is what it is. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. And, right now we have to play better. We have to do a lot of things better as a team. And that's obviously my job and our staff's job to keep reinforcing like what we want to see from our guys. It's a challenge. It's a challenge that, everybody's got to take on. And I'm not, there's no feeling sorry for yourself. There's no poor me. That's one thing I want to make sure our players understand that, we're taking these challenges head on as a group. We've done it the whole way through already. And I think for myself, just keep reinforcing that message because it will get better. It will improve. I just think 2020 was meant to kind of test us all, especially right now. So it's just another test that we're going to have to get through.
It is the delicate balance, though, isn't it, where you wonder, okay, is it something we've done, and maybe misimplemented, or is it just the facts of the 2020 season as you try to evaluate the job that you're doing and your staff is doing?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously spent a lot of time in the time off trying to figure out the best way possible, to get our guys prepared and ready. And there were other challenges, obviously, that presented themselves that we weren't anticipating. But, I said it before. I said, I don't know if this blueprint is, this has never been done before. So we don't know exactly if this is going to work out or not. I felt like our guys were as mentally and physically prepared as possible, and we're 2-5. So it is what it is. And, maybe that's just the norm for this year, but we got to get through it, like I said, and, keep adjusting. And one thing I'm pretty adamant on, especially from a staff and player standpoint, is, we have to be able to adjust. We have to be able to make changes. This year is testing the ability to do that. So like I said, there's no prior circumstances that we can look back for experience. We just have to keep moving forward and try to make the best decisions every day.
Colby Allert out there today. What do you expect to see from him, Woody?
A lot of what we've seen in the past. Obviously, I think the one thing that stands out is he's worked really hard at that curveball all offseason. He worked to increase the spin, the spin on it, the depth. It's a better pitch for him now. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out today. He's still got the fastball, cutter, changeup. He's a warrior on the mound. He's competitive. All the things that we love about him, but I'm really interested to see how that breaking ball kind of shows up, see how he can use it. And he's done a really good job up to this point, but we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see him compete today.
That's it for me. Thanks, Woody.
Okay. Other questions for Woody? TR, go ahead.
Chris, what kind of challenge is it going to be for the Texas Rangers with both Santana and Odor out of the lineup today?
Yeah, guys got to step up. I think that's why we have depth. That's why we have, our taxi squad to fill in sometimes. Garcia's come up. Heineman, has provided some, obviously some good at-bats for us. These guys got to, they're ready, man. They're hungry. Trevino said it best. He got one start and made the most of it. So, these guys want to play. Whether it's whoever it is coming off, they're going to have to take on a different role. We're going to have to see the back end of our roster kind of produce for us. And, obviously missing Rugi, missing Danny are big parts of our offense, but the other guys just got to, take a step forward.
Okay, next question, Evan.
Chris, I know I've sounded like a broken record at times since spring training, but Joey's been your lone productive offensive player. Do you have to, in the next day or two, potentially ask him to move up into that top third of the lineup to get more at-bats to try and jumpstart this offense?
I thought about it yesterday, potentially. I think it might make sense just because, if Rugi's going to be out, I think Rugi might be okay by the time we get back to Oakland. or when we play them next. I'm hoping. But if so, then yeah, it may make sense, obviously, because he's our one guy that's producing on a nightly basis. So it's probably a conversation I'll have with him today about it, and just see how he feels about it.
And the other thing, last night you talked a little bit about the walks, but in your losses, I think half of your runs, if not more than half of your runs, have either begun as walks, hit by pitches, or errors. How do you address that at this point in time?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory to the results. I know our pitching staff and our staff has hammered home the importance of, obviously controlling the strike zone, from an offensive side and then obviously from a pitching side. So it's been definitely ingrained in their head, how important it is to obviously throw the ball to the plate. Now, clearly last night was, something we hadn't seen really. 11 walks is obviously on the wrong side of what we want. But I think the point was driven home by they didn't have too many hits and they ended up scoring a lot of runs. So it's something that we're going to keep hammering home and make sure that we can execute when we get out there. We have some young guys in that bullpen that need to come in and, throw the ball to the plate and be able to execute. And it just stresses the importance of that because 4 or 5 leadoff walks and a leadoff hit by pitch, not a good recipe to win a game.
Thank you, sir.
Levi?
When you, on a broad picture, when you see everything, we're in the middle of a pandemic, everything is just sort of upside down right now, not just in baseball, but everywhere. Is it, it feels like in a regular season, a little losing streak or a slump or whatever, you kind of know how that's going to land. The emotional impact of it. Under these circumstances, just, being in that room, does it land harder because it's thrown on top of everything? Or does it land maybe a little less hard because it's like, look, there's a lot more important things than baseball happening right now? Or is it just kind of the same because, hey, at least we're able to just sort of get away from everything and be doing baseball right now, which is nice?
A pretty deep question, Levi. I think there's a lot of ways we can go about that. I've thought about this a lot, like the psychological factor of this season. I think maybe both answers are right. I think it may be specific to the player, to be honest with you. Some guys are handling things, they actually look at being at the field as like a way to get away from all the issues that are going on off the field. And then some guys are just taking it all in at the same time. And it's almost overwhelming probably, especially if you deal with struggle and then you see struggle off the field as well, and not being able to go certain places, or maybe there's family members at home that are stressed out, or, there's a lot to handle right now. And I think it's really important on us and myself to kind of, seek out these guys, make sure everybody's okay. It's just different. I can't expect everybody to handle it the same way. I don't know exactly what's going on sometimes at home with every single player. I try to stay up to date as much as possible, but there's so many factors in this season that psychologically I worry sometimes, just because, like you said, some guys are going to handle it one way and some guys are going to handle it the other. But I think it's important that we continue to have conversations with each other about everything that's going on, so that way nobody kind of falls through the cracks and we don't see or be able to recognize somebody that's really struggling that maybe we didn't realize. And other guys, like I said, some guys actually love it because they just come to the field and they're like, okay, this is my time that I can actually get outside and be free. Otherwise they're, stuck in their hotel room or stuck at home, not being able to do anything, which a lot of people in our society are feeling right now.
You kind of answered my follow-up question on that. I mean, you're a fairly hands-on manager, not just like from a coaching standpoint, but from a like dig in and like figure out what's going on with these guys on a personal level type. How are you handling that additional? It feels like that aspect is maybe even more important this year than usual.
Oh, it's huge. And listen, you're right. I think it's important all the time, but this year is critical. This is we're at a crossroads in a lot of ways, for the rest of our lives. Some guys, like I said, if we don't take the time to kind of understand, and listen, we all want to win games. We all want to, there's expanded playoffs. There's we talk about, the urgency of the 60-game season, but we don't want to neglect, what guys are truly going through, because this could affect them basically for the rest of their lives. And, like I said, if they're at a crossroads and they're kind of on the fence, or, they have an opportunity to go one way or the other, like, we want to help them, get through this. And some of these guys are young. Some of these guys are setting up the rest of their careers. And I would hate to see a situation like this kind of derail the rest of their career. So, I'll always kind of extend my hand, and I know our staff will as well, in any way possible to help these guys out. And obviously my job is to help us win games, and I'm going to do the best I can at that, but also to help these guys through life.
Thank you.
Okay, we got time for one more. Elvis is on his way. Chris.
Kind of piggyback off of that, but to a more on the field question. You talk about the sense of urgency and everything like that, and I've seen other managers around the league say the same thing about the lineup, that they're trying to do too much at the plate. How do you get these guys how do you simplify things so that they're not overthinking things and they can generate better at-bats?
I don't know. You tell me. You got the answer to that. That's the lifelong question hitting. No, I think we just got to honestly be resilient. That's probably the word I use the most, be relentless in what we're trying to do. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, you say in a 60-game season, urgency and panic are really close together. So I just don't want any of our guys to feel like they're the expectations are greater than what are actually possible. But I think we got to take it one day at a time, one bat at a time. It's really difficult. It's going to take some, it's going to challenge us. This is whatever you want to call it. Is it worst case scenario? I don't know, but who cares? Like, we got to deal with it. We got to take it head on. And that's, as a staff, as players, our veteran guys are going to do that. And that's all we ask of them, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get out of it.
Raise your hand for questions. PR.
What does this do for you guys, after some of the bad breaks you've had, losing offensive players, going into the off day? What does this victory do for you guys, especially where you played offensively?
Yeah, it was pretty positive all around, I think. Obviously, a good outing from Colby. Pitching side, I know we gave up a couple runs to get them back in the game, but what we saw with Jonathan and Volkes at the end of the game. Offensively, it was good. Quality of bats. We put ourselves in a situation to kind of do some damage. Heine got the big hit early to put us on the board. I thought Joey's, Willie's at bat with the bases loaded, left on left. That kind of, really productive, got the run in, got him over, and then Joey with the big hit. That's one thing that we haven't been able to do. We haven't been able to capitalize and finish off some of these rallies. So that was nice. Put 9 on the board, kind of easy ninth inning there by Volke. And, it's always good to go to an off day into a big series against Oakland with a win.
Next question. Evan.
Chris, you said before the game, I think the word you used that you wanted your offense to be was resilient. Is this an example of resiliency today, and what demonstrated that to you?
Yeah, I think it's, the confidence, the calmness, just don't quit, man. Just don't take a pitch off. And it's something, we talk a lot about on all sides of the ball, on offense, on defense, and the pitching side, like, keep attacking. And so what we saw today, like I said, we finished off some of these rallies, and we still put ourselves in a situation late in the game too to keep pounding at them. If they're not going to throw us strikes, and we're going to keyhole a little bit, we get guys on base and some walks late. We could have blown that game wide open with another big hit. So that's what we want to be as an offense, and especially when we face tough pitching. And that's we have to be that way, especially in this shortened season. We can't take a day off. We can't take a game or a pitch for granted.
On Jonathan Hernandez, how do you plan to use him going forward?
A lot like today, find the most difficult spot in the game and put him in it. I just you see the calmness that this guy has when he catches the ball back from the pitch catcher. He just catches it, flips it into his hand. That's when I know, he's in a good spot mentally. You can see his body language. He has confidence. He may miss a pitch, but he goes right back at it and throws a strike. And that's pretty rare for a young player. And I know that he's going to have some adversity to deal with. Like he said, he gave up a couple runs his last outing, wasn't happy about it. And he came back today and pretty much dominated for 2 innings. So his maturity level in the 2 years I've known him and got to meet him, it's been pretty impressive. He works really hard at that, and he knows with that he can trust that he can pitch in any situation. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Next question, John Radigan.
Woody, the seventh inning response to them tying the game up speaks obviously not only of the team, your team's, physical ability, but it speaks to their mental attitude, their mental abilities too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We had 9-1-2 coming up, and obviously they walked the bases loaded in that inning, but not all those pitches were just it's not like they were 12 straight. There were some tough takes in there that our guys have been priding themselves on, and shrinking the strike zone. Obviously, it was a young guy in there pitching that we took advantage of. We took advantage of the fact that he couldn't execute his pitches, and we ended up walking the bases loaded for two of our best hitters, and they came through for us. So we need to keep more of that. Obviously, we need to keep pressure because, like I said, when we start facing some really good pitching, those are the kind of innings that we need to have.
Joey says that the day off, after an offensive performance like that can be such a derailing sort of mentally moment. Do you worry about that? Do you believe in carryover from, one series to the next?
I do. I believe in momentum 100%. It's something I talk about a lot. Today when they scored the 3 runs, I said, if we score right here, we stop their momentum in believing that they can win this game. That may be in the first inning. I told Colby after we scored the 3 runs, like getting a 0 in that inning was critical for the success of the game. So it's something, we obviously pride ourselves on, but the 3 off days in the beginning of the season, I didn't like. I wasn't happy when I saw that, because I know that, the way the lineup is like guys need to start feeling rhythm. So hopefully we're done with that. And now we're going to play some games straight. We're going to have a lot of games out of a lot of days. So, hopefully we can kind of get on a roll offensively and kind of carry it forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Woody.
Other questions for Woody? Levi.
Just a quick check in. The pinch hit in the ninth, Ref Snyder for Calhoun, was that just a matchup thing, or just sort of getting Willie off his feet with the hip still healing, or what was your thinking on that?
Yeah, kind of both. Just kind of getting him out of there. He's had a good game. That's the kind of lefty that I didn't really like him facing. Kind of guy that comes from there over there. It's not a comfortable bat for Willie right now, so I would just Ref's been swinging a hot bat. I want to kind of get him in there. He may play, in Oakland, obviously, with 2 lefties that we have to face the first 2 games. So keeping him kind of engaged. I think Ref Snyder is kind of a big part of our offense, especially against left-handed pitching. So to get him in there and get in a bat and have a quality result was good for both sides.
Right on. Thank you.
Jeff.
Hey, how good is Joey Gallo going to be? I mean, after missing as much time as he did, it's taken him like four games really to – not even that. It took him 3 games to find his groove.
Yeah, it's pretty special what he's doing right now. He's by far the best player on the field every time he steps out there. You see how hard he's playing, I think, is the thing that I told him the other day. And obviously he's had some great games the last few, but just how hard he runs the bases, how hard he's playing right field. Every throw he's made has been right on the money. Everything he's doing right now is showing the rest of our team, like, jump on my back, I'm the best player in baseball. Honestly, you look at there may be not another more talented player in all of baseball. Realistically, like, I know Trout's good and, Mookie Betts, these guys are pretty good players, but Joey is, with size, with power, with speed, with arm. I mean, he's got all of it. And now he's got a tremendous approach in the batter's box. He doesn't chase pitches. He stays in the strike zone. He hits a 2-strike, stayed through it up the middle, his first bat. Those are the kind of things that if he starts doing that, I mean, it's pretty scary to think how good this guy could be. Obviously we want to see a whole year of it. If he can stay healthy for, obviously this year 60, but, in the future 162, he's going to put up some pretty spectacular numbers.
Well, I think you said, I mean, with all the injuries, he's the guy, and it doesn't seem to be burdening him like it might have a few years ago.
Yeah, and the thing is, he plays the hardest of all our guys, and I think he sets the tone for the rest of our team. So when your best player is that good and he plays as hard as Joey does, the only thing I worry is that he plays too hard at times. I don't want him to get hurt. He doesn't need to run 100 miles an hour down the line on a routine ground ball to first base. So obviously keeping him healthy, keeping him on the field, and maintaining that kind of level of play is critical for our success. I mean, he can turn around our organization and make us a champion, like, just because of how good he is.
Okay, thanks.
Take 2 more, Chris and then TR.
That decision to stick with Willie against the lefty with the bases loaded and nobody out. Just double checking. I'm not assuming anything, but did you hesitate at all to go with a right-handed bat there, or did you really just want to tell Willie that you believed in him to come through in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it, obviously, and I'm proud of Willie because Willie's, when you get hit in the face, man, I know there's some. I don't care what he says or how he says it. I mean, there's some obviously things there that can affect you long term. So, we've been in constant communication about it, and I want him to. He's always hit lefties. He's usually pretty comfortable. Specific guys, obviously, I might give him off just to kind of take that burden off his plate. But absolutely, I want him to be the guy in that situation. I'm begging for him to the other team to put him in that situation because Willie's a special kid, man. He's got a special ability with the bat in his hand, and I don't care if the guy's throwing left, right, in between. It's I want him in the big spots.
All right, thanks, Chris.
ATR, last question.
Shin-Soo Choo crushed that ball, and that's 2 days in a row from him. Is he starting to? I know he missed a few in back home, but you feel like he's starting to zero in up there at the top of the lineup?
Yeah, he looks pretty good right now. He could have 4 home runs right now, to be honest with you. Like, he got robbed of one at our park and he hit another one. He thought better, the next day. So, yeah, he's starting to feel pretty good. The consistency started to show. When Choo's good, he controls the strike zone, he gets on base, and he hits homers. So it's, we're starting to see a little bit of that. And I know he's been wanting to produce, and he's been dying to kind of help us win some games. So it's a nice sign to see him start to swing the bat pretty well.